So, hi, welcome to Tech Dicted. So, today we are looking at HTML elements and attributes. So, basically, when we talk about an element, we're talking about basically the syntax of this language. Okay, so we talked about HTML being a markup language, and we stated that markup language uses tags to show the syntax basically. That's its syntax. So whenever I talk about syntax, I mean how it looks like, how the code is arranged, or how something is written. Like, let's say a button syntax. How is it written? So that's button, and then you close it that way. Okay, so this is syntax for writing the button element. So now when we're talking about elements in HTML, that's basically well, how the code is written, because we start with the tag HTML. Okay, this should be small HTML. Okay, and we close, and then everything goes in here, and then we close the HTML. Okay, so we open it, all your code is written in here, and then you close it. Okay, now inside it, for its boilerplate, we have the head, and inside the head, always when you have the head, you have the title, and then you close the head, and then you have the body. Okay, and then we close the body. Okay, now opening tags are always this way, and closing tags have a backslash and then the tag name, and then you close it. So for example, this is an opening tag because it's HTML, and this, okay, because it has this, is the closing tag of HTML. Now there are elements that do not have opening or closing, they're just one. Okay, so you will encounter things like img, which is just that way, so you just write it this way. Okay, and then we have br. I will just explain them further. You can either place this or just leave it blank. Okay, so this opening tag, and this is closing tag, and for some it's combined. Okay, both opening and closing tags. And so yeah, that's what we have started with. Now the head contains things that are necessary for your page to run or to operate appropriately, or yeah, and then the body is everything that will appear now on the screen. Okay, now let's say this is your browser. Okay, now in your browser you have the tabs. Okay, you always have these tabs where you have this X here. You can close the tab, and there are like a few, and then there's, you can add more. Now this is in Chrome, I don't know in others, but yeah, basically this is how it is. So this title, whatever you place here will be written here. Okay, so in here, title, you have any tag, let me not forget to mention this, any tag that is opening and closing, the content that you want displayed on the page, okay, is always between. This is the content. Okay, this is the content. Here is where the content comes in. So for example, I have this title, then that means if I want to write something in here, or that will appear here, because you've said the title is what appears here in the tab, then you'll have to write it title, and then my site. Okay, and then you close it title. Okay, okay, so that's how it is, and so here will be my site. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And then now for the content that appears inside the browser, okay, anything that you see, any forms you fill, any images you look at, they appear here. And so here is the body. Anything you want to be seen here, I repeat, should be in the body. Now, in the body, you have H1, for example. This is a heading, okay? Now, a heading, the largest, let me call it the largest heading is H1. Now, you can see my site, H1, okay? You can actually follow up while doing it, but you can just watch it because this was for explanation purposes before you start coding. Now, here you'll just say my site. Now it will not be centered probably it will be on this edge, but CSS will do the styling. Now my site is the largest font size that exists, and it's an element, okay? Now you have my site, and then you can also have let's use another attribute that is just one. So you have an input, okay? Maybe you want to search for something, and so you have an input tag which is of type text. Now we mentioned elements and attributes. I won't say much because I just want you to understand before we start the coding process. Now type, attribute. So type is text, and then we can have a placeholder of search. Okay, now remember this is just one tag, and so now in here you'll just have it this way, and then it will be written search. Now the placeholder is just something that you see, then when you place your cursor there and you start typing, it disappears. So that's a placeholder. Then type text dictates that the type of whatever is being written is text. If you say email, then it will be checked to confirm that it's an email. That is, it should have this and the dot something, yeah. And then if you say number, then it should be a number, 1 2 3 4 kuanzia 0 onwards. And so yeah, this is how you do it. So once you've written this, we've talked about elements. So this is an element, an element, an element, and an element. Okay, now attributes are properties. We can call them properties of elements. So whenever you have an element, probably it has properties. That is something that tells us more about the input, the image, the H1. Okay, so for example, an input, if you have an input and it has a type. Now type, text, okay? This is an attribute of input, okay? So it dictates that this input is text, and this is the element, okay? So we have that, and then now we can just close it. So this dictates that this input is text. Okay, an image can have an attribute of, for example, img. So we will learn more about this later, but this is just an introductory explaining just what to expect. So an image can have an attribute of, for example, source, which is the path to the file, to the image file. Okay, it can also have width as an attribute, which dictates how long it is, or whatever it is, the width of that image. Okay, and so we close it. So these are attributes. Okay, whenever you see equal sign, it's an attribute probably. And so every element has its own attributes. Some share attributes because yeah, some share attributes, some don't, but that's the point. Everything has attributes that work well to make it maybe more clear, to give more information about that element. Okay, so that's it for tags and elements. Maybe you can watch my introductory videos whereby we now do the coding itself and not just this. Yeah, so you'll find links in the description, and you can also just check out the what is it called, the YouTube channel, and just subscribe to get to learn more. Yeah, so thank you, and see you on the next one.